Again, we're on to air pollution. Question number 5. Should we require developers to submit an emissions reduction strategy linked to floor space of the development as part of air quality assessment to be paid for by the applicant? So really we're just looking at any questions about what size development should we be requiring this, and anything else that anybody wanted to say about what people should be required to submit at the time that they make their planning application.
Simon Burkett, campaigned for clean air in London on this occasion. I think before going into these detailed questions, I think there needs to just be a general comment. I think before looking at what the council should do in a sense in micro areas, there really needs to be a sort of line of sight between what the council is doing in its area and what others are helping it do in its area, like TfL and so on. And how the net result of that is actually going to result in the air quality laws being complied with by the deadlines by which they have to be complied with, or the levels by those deadlines. So I think that is the general comment, and I think therefore, if I can make several specific things just to get them out of the way, and others can then comment on them whether they agree or disagree. The campaign has submitted 65 suggested measures to improve air quality to meet these limit values to the Mayor and previously to Westminster. So if they could please be incorporated in this submission, and I will email them to you again.
Thank you.
Second, it's very important that there is no biomass burning anywhere on the gas grid. If we have wood chips being burnt, we'll end up with the great smogs again that we had 40 years ago. And other boroughs in central London are trying hard to eliminate that, and I think guidance is firming up on that. On the Clean Air Act, it's quite important to make sure that the Planning Department and the Environmental Health Department are joined up, so that when things come through with sustainable fueled proposals and things, that the environmental health people have a good chance to make sure that the emissions are no worse than they would be for gas emissions. And frankly, knowing what is actually the Westminster stock, which I believe is actually a clean air requirement, and that's something which I suspect most councils are having difficulty with. The application of the best practice guidance on demolition and construction, and in particular the use of ultra-low sulfur fuel and abatement devices as part of the Mayor's best practice guidance, is something that the boroughs did sign up to and has not been implemented in those two respects virtually anywhere in London, and non-road mobile machinery will be responsible for about 20% of dangerous airborne particles by 2020. It is, I think, I think one final point is that at this stage, which is that I think it would be very good if Westminster would make a commitment, a best efforts commitment, where limit values, legal levels are exceeded of the key pollutants, that Westminster will take meaningful actions within all their available powers in order to achieve those limit values and compliance by the required deadlines. There is at the moment a very serious disjunction between the government's obligation as a member state, or on behalf of the member state, to comply with these limit values, and yet Westminster and the Mayor and others, all they are required to do is work towards these. So they could introduce 50 busy fool policies, comply with their legal duty, and achieve absolutely nothing. So I think the key thing here is having line of sight as to how these public health obligations are going to be met and what part Westminster is going to play.
I think partly, the purpose of the workshops would be to throw it back to you, and is there something in particular you think should be in our policy approach that's currently missing or lacking or not stringent enough, that we need to re-examine in order to meet the targets?
Well, I'll send you this list of 65 measures, most of which are things that Westminster could do or lobby others to do. I'll resend that.
And they'll feed into the policy approach. Okay. When you do, we'll upload them on the website on our City Management Plan page, so anybody else who wants to look at those and comment on them, please feel free to. Thank you. Thank you very much.